What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another one of those top of the decade lists. Actually, this is the first top of the decade list. There will be two more, actually three more, sorry. And I'm actually gonna do probably one or two of them on Sunday, and then probably one of them on Monday. Hopefully that's how the schedule works. But anyway, look, guys, we are doing something unbelievably hard for me to decide for a list. But I made it somewhat easier on myself by doing a couple of tricks here. So if you guys have already read the title, you already know what we're doing. We're doing the top 10, my top 10 favorite albums of the decade, as in what I would consider to be the best album of the decade. And how I structured this is I took the albums that I've considered my number one favorite album of the year for every year from 2010 to 2019. 10 albums, and I took them and I put them in a order of which I think is the best album and of the best of the best albums and the least of the best albums, which basically everything on here I absolutely love to death. These records are some of my absolute favorites, so it was just unbelievably difficult. But anyway, guys, let's not even waste time. We're already at that 2-minute mark. Enough of me yapping. Let's do this. Number 10. This one's by the band Machine Head. This was the 2014 winner. This is Bloodstone and Diamonds. Man, this was, I remember when this one came out, it was just, I just fell head over heels in love with this one. And I think it had to go up against Slipknot's The Gray Chapter. And I think there was another one, but man, it was one of those ultimate records. I think now I know some people weren't as big of a fan of that record as they were maybe like Unto the Locust or of course The Blackening, and of course The Blackening for me is still probably, it's number 2. My number 1 favorite is The More Things Change, but of course The Blackening is just a masterpiece of a record. But I think this was considerably better than Unto the Locust, even though Unto the Locust has my absolute favorite Machine Head song of all time on it, Darkness Within. But yeah, so this one was just I remember fighting myself really hard. I was like, oh man, what's gonna be my number 1 favorite this year? And yeah, it ended up going for Bloodstone and Diamonds. So that comes in at number 10. Coming in at number 9, this is a band that I'm also going to be doing a. I started working on a video format of my top 25 favorite musical discoveries of the 2010s, just things I discovered during this decade, and this was one of the bands that was definitely on it, and that's going to end up being because it was too long for a video format, and it would have to break it down into like 2 parts or something. That's actually going to be an Arkham blog post. If you guys want to check out the Arkham Studios blog, you can actually read that full list. It'll be coming probably this week. Definitely this weekend. But anyway, guys, Leveler by August Burns Red, man. This record, holy shit. Now, this also went up again. This was another difficult one. I can't remember what album did I had to. There was more than one album I had to pick from. Man, it was so difficult because 2010, 2011, like 2010 to 2013 had some of the most difficult choices for me because they had some incredible releases from so many friggin' bands. Man, it was difficult, but I know that this is one of my absolute favorite records. This is my hands down favorite August Burns Red record. It has my favorite song on there by August Burns Red is Carpe Diem, and it's on this record, and man, I just love this was the record that they started to they took the everything that they had done before and found a new and perfect groove that was just solid through this entire record, and they kept doing that for every record after that, and that's why I absolutely fell in love with the band. And of course, if I wanted to talk about more of the band, you check that out in the blog post that I was just talking about, because that's a band I could sit and talk about for a while. Anyway, guys, that is number 9. Let's move on to number 8. Number 8 was from last year, 2018. This is Sevendust's All I See Is War. Now, quick disclaimer for you guys, or not even disclaimer, what am I saying? Quick heads up, guys. Sevendust is on here twice. It's the only band that's on here twice. But man, this was a great record last year. There was a lot of albums last year. A lot of albums. We had Five Finger Death Punch, Breaking Benjamin, Sevendust, Machine Head. I don't even remember everything that came out last year. Coheed Cambria had an album last year, which I tried to do a little reaction thing on here. I felt like it wasn't going well because it only got like 3 views or something not very great. And that was like, I think that was like edited and tagged and everything. But yeah, anyway, it didn't do super well. But that was another big album. I actually really like that album. There were some songs on there that I was like, but anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Anyway, 2018 was a crazy year for music, and All I See Is War was the one album that I was just like, this is amazing. This is why I loved this band so much this year. And actually, apparently, according to my Spotify listening habits from 2012 when I started using it to the end of this year, to the start of this year when I stopped using Spotify because I don't use it anymore. I was very publicly shamed it after the whole them like shitting all over music writers, songwriters, which obviously I am a songwriter, so I took a little bit of a offense to that a little bit. So I just like, all right, well, fuck you, I'll just use somebody else. Anyway, from basically 2012 to 2019, Sevendust was one of my absolute, is my absolute highest listened to band that I listen to on Spotify. So obviously I absolutely have an extreme affinity for that band and just love it, love the band wholeheartedly. And All I See Was War is an incredible album, and if you haven't checked it out, check it out. If you haven't heard of any of these records, what the hell are you doing? Go check them out. And of course, moving in from up from 8 to 7 was this year's winner of Album of the Year, Macro by Ginger. This band, holy shit, man, this band is insane. Love this band. Just this record was just, again, you don't have to hear me drone on about it again, because I talked about it plenty in the actual top 5 favorite albums of 2019 video, which you can check out on the channel. And of course I'll end up doing a review at some point on LRR. Anyway, love that record, love it, deserves the spot. Man, continually moving up gets harder and harder. This next one was from, I believe, 20 something. I don't remember. Was this 2013? Had to have been 2013. 2013. Yeah, because I think that, yes. Okay, so this next one was from 2013. It's number 6, Disarm the Descent by Killswitch Engage. This would this barely beat out Trivium, and that's probably because Trivium's already on this list once, and I didn't want to give them 2 spots when I could give one of my other absolute favorite bands a spot. And I absolutely loved Vengeance Falls. Don't get me wrong on that. I've talked about that. I'll defend that album because it's such a great album, and it's the reason I got into Trivium in the first damn place. But Disarm the Descent is the absolute wholehearted reason that I fell in love with Killswitch Engage. Now, there was a couple of songs that I had heard before Didn't really care for him, and it was some of the songs with Howard. And I didn't really initially like Howard's voice, and then when I found out they had another singer, I checked out some of the other stuff they had with the other singer, Jesse, and I absolutely fell in love with it, and I just fell in love with the band, and I ended up absolutely loving the Howard stuff later too. But this was the record that really changed my mind on the band, and I was just like, this shit's so cool. And I listened to this album probably just as much as Vengeance Falls, if not more than Vengeance Falls, just because this record was incredible. So that's why it won the 2013 Album of the Year, and that's why it's up here at number 6. This list just keeps getting more difficult for me, because man, all these records are so damn good. But I had to choose. I knew there were certain things that I liked a little bit more, and there's a couple of other reasons for some of the other albums when we get higher up. But anyway, moving on to number 5, the mighty Gojira, L'Enfant Sauvage. Of course I can't fucking speak French, and I probably butchered that and sounded like a dipshit, but who cares, because this album is killer. It is absolutely my favorite, yeah, it is my favorite Gojira record. Of course, The Way of All Flesh is like right there, so it's like just edges it out that much. But man, L'Enfant Sauvage, or The Infant Savage, or The Wild Child, whatever you want to call it. What an incredible record. Gojira is one of those bands that absolutely blew me away when it comes to modern metal this decade. They're up there with my 3 favorite bands in the that are newer metal bands, newer-ish, or more popular in this decade, became popular in this decade, let's say that. The 3 bands would be Gojira, Ginger, and of course Periphery. So those 3 bands are just holy shit, that changed the landscape of metal. But yeah, so Gojira had to get way up here, so they cracked the top 5. And of course, man, this record just incredible. I love some of my favorite song. Honestly, my 2 favorite songs are "The Axe" and the title track. And man, such an incredible record. I'll end up reviewing that on the channel because I need to do some Gojira on the channel. But yeah, love Gojira, kicks ass. 2012 winner right there. Anyway, guys, let's move on to number 4. Number 4. Man, this is one that I know you guys have seen on the channel. It's one of my big reviews. It was one of the big, long, in-depth LRR reviews, and I think it has a decent amount of views on it. So some of you, if you've watched anything from my channel, you probably have seen this video. Korn, The Serenity of Suffering. Man, this was my 2016 Album of the Year. Holy shit, this record, man. This was a massive comeback for not only just Korn in general, but just for the powerful, dark heaviness that they had from way back in the day. It's just, it manifested into something really beautiful and new, and of course gave us one of the best albums this year. The sequel to it, The Nothing, that was an incredible record. But man, this record was just, it just dominated that year for me, and it had to be really high up there because it is still one of my absolute favorite records. These next 3 are unbelievably hard for me, guys. Man, this was such a rough list to do. Number 3. The Sin and the Sentence by Trivium. Now, you guys, if you know me, my absolute favorite metal band is Trivium. Yeah, I didn't plan that, by the way. It was just what I was wearing today. But man, this record, when it came out, this record did a lot for me. It changed. It's one of their absolute best records, and I was very lucky enough to become a fan just before Silence in the Snow, and then continue to be a fan up until this record. And when this record dropped, I was just like, whoa! In 2017, man, what an album, dude! God damn, this record literally inspired me to create the song, the Calamitous One, for which became my big single that was on the radio this year on a local radio station, and is something you could listen to. You could listen to the whole A Fallen Eden Eternity EP on my channel right now. The video's a little bit messed up, and you gotta accidentally has a song that plays twice. You can just skip it, or I think there's somebody put like a timestamp in the comments, but you can check that out. It's really cool. I enjoyed the hell out of that one. Yeah. Anyway, enjoyed the hell out of that record. Getting my words mixed up here. Enough babbling. Let's get on to number 2. Number 2. I told you they were on this list twice. Sevendust, Kill the Flaw. This is my 2015 winner. Just barely edged out Silence in the Snow, because I actually did like Silence in the Snow. Even though it's my least favorite Trivium record, I still enjoyed the hell out of that record. There was some really cool stuff on there, like Dead and Gone, The Ghost That's Haunting You, and a couple of other songs. So I really enjoyed that record, and this record took it a notch up and kicked its ass. Kill the Flaw, man. Kill the Flaw, man. This was at my like peak of absolutely loving Sevendust. I was super into in 2015 and 2016, I think, were the 2 years that I was super into Sevendust. And man, this when this album came out, I was just like, oh, this is such a damn good album. This was just, it's one of those records when you listen to it back to front, it feels almost flawless. It's one of their best albums in their entire catalog, and I will say that again and again. I absolutely enjoyed the hell out of it. Anyway, guys, Kill the Flaw. Number 1. What is the best record of the decade? Man, I know there's going to be people who just massively disagree with this entire list in general, but for me, the 2010 winner, the ultimate heavyweight. I didn't know. I saw this when I saw this album came out in 2010, and I saw the other albums that came out in 10. It instantly won 2010 for me, and I listened to the album just once through, and I was like, I cannot give this spot to any other album. Of course, I am talking about Nightmare by Avenged Sevenfold. This is my absolute favorite hard rock or heavy metal album of the decade. When my kids ask me in the future, what was the best album of the 2010s, Dad, I'm gonna have to say Nightmare by Avenged Sevenfold. Now, the reasons, I actually have some decent reasons here. Just hear me out. Not only is this such an absolute incredible album in itself, this was Avenged Sevenfold's absolute masterpiece. This was their masterpiece record. This is their number 1 record. They just, man, it was such a crazy time, because this was right after the Rev passed away, and this has a little bit of some stuff on there about him too, I think. And just that whole record was just, it's flawless. It's a flawless record, and you'd be hard pressed to say any other record is more, in this decade from metal, is more iconic than Nightmare. If you know who Avenged Sevenfold is, even just a little bit, if you don't even like the band or you don't know them, you know the lines, "It's your fucking nightmare." You know that lyric to a T. You know it. You know the song. You know what I'm talking about. You don't even have to damn well like the damn band. You know what I'm talking about. Which means it is an iconic album. There are lines there's so many big, huge songs on this record. You can talk about God Hates Us, or Nightmare, or Welcome to the Family, or just Buried Alive. There was the other one. Man, this record had massive songs on it. It was an absolutely incredible album from top to bottom. It's the band's biggest album by far, and is considered by most of their hardcore fans to be their masterpiece record. It's their magnum opus. It is their big boy. You can't. I don't see any other album being that level of incredible. It's just to me, but you know, of course, everybody has their opinions, and maybe my opinion isn't correct, if you will. But it is my opinion, and I do think that was my absolute favorite record of this decade. And I just couldn't give it to anybody else. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. We were at the 20-minute mark, and I apologize for rambling on so much in this one, but it was a big list for me. And I hope you guys enjoyed my picks. And let me know what your guys' picks are down in the comment section. And if you want to see some more videos like this, including other top-of-the-decade lists, including movies, video games, and TV shows that are coming up soon, subscribe to the damn channel. You'll enjoy some of the cool, nerdy content we have on here and other awesome music content. Cover everything, hard rock and heavy metal, because that's what I'm into. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you in the next one.